Steady now.
Made up of former staff from Clover Studio, PlatinumGames would establish themselves throughout the 7th generation as a developer of outlandish, stylish and adolescent experiences with tongue firmly in cheek through Bayonetta and Vanquish. Anarchy Reigns continues that trend, a spiritual follow-up to MadWorld featuring a handful of the characters from the Wii exclusive. The absurdity and over-the-top violence return in this brawler, and while it perhaps isn't Platinum's best effort across this generation, it packs in enough charm and fun, despite some less successful elements sticking out. In a post-apocalyptic future, the city of Alhambra plays host to a collision of personalities as a murderer escapes prison. On one side, Leo is a member of a bureau of cyber-enhanced agents looking to find his former mentor, who is on the run. The other is Jack Kamen of MadWorld fame, who is hunting down Max on behalf of both the victim and fugitive's daughter. Both must worm their way through a ruined society, meeting boatloads of colourfully questionable personalities along the way. Despite being split into 2 separate campaigns, one for each side, the story is pretty basic, and doesn't really offer much incentive to explore both sides.
Too bad. On my ranch, you play by my rules, or I put you out to pasture!
Despite some decent voice work, including an expletive-filled standout from Steve Blum as Jack, the setting and narrative thread don't feel quite compelling enough to keep you invested. Anarchy Reigns is a brawler, not unlike its predecessor. No matter who you play as, each character comes with 2 types of strikes, blocking and dodging, as well as a unique killer weapon which, once charged, can be used for extra damage, such as Jack's trademark chainsaw arm. A rampage state can also be triggered once charged, allowing you to perform anime-esque super beatdowns which look insane. Locking on works rather well with the narrower perspective, strikes hit their target with impact, and the frenetic action comes across really well, with outrageous grabs standing out in particular. You can also often utilise the environment, such as grabbing spears and lodging them into enemies. It's not the deepest brawler out there, and lower difficulties can definitely lead to button mashing, but tougher bosses and hard mode encourage the memorization of attack patterns, dodging and well-timed moves. It's pretty good fun, even on lower difficulties. Platinum clearly focused on multiplayer, because the solo component doesn't feel well thought out. Divided into 2 sides, white and black, each side focuses on the 2 main protagonists as their paths sometimes cross over, though they mostly complete their own objectives.
Speaking of scores, Jacko, you owe me. And what the Baron is owed, the Baron collects.
The problem is that, in perhaps attempting to ape something like Resident Evil 2 scenario mode, there's not enough differences to ensure repeat plays remain fresh. Aside from some unique bosses and differing side missions, you'll often find yourself taking on similar fights and enemies between both sides, and the scant differences between each aren't enough.
Like little boys with guns.
My gun is bigger.
There is fun to be had, particularly in ludicrous free missions which see you hijacking a helicopter and blasting goons below, scoring with giant crystal balls and facing enormous bosses such as the Kraken, but otherwise, it comes off as a bit of an afterthought. Multiplayer, playable with both human and CPU players, sees a lot more variety, though it sadly lacks split-screen options. Battle Royale is notable for allowing up to 16 players to brawl against each other, and even seeing it in action during simulator games is quite the sight. There are quite a few other modes though, including 1 vs 1 steel cage fights, cooperative survival modes, and a few variants on deathmatch, including a nifty death ball spin, which plays like a game of American football. It offers good fun with bots or other players, though the latter is unlikely after over a decade. Outside of that, there are lots of unlockables from the campaign, including dozens of playable characters comprising of the many bosses you face, extra artwork, and special abilities for use in these modes. Anarchy Reigns backs up its intense action with visual flair which, while not the best of the gen, certainly shows Platinum came a long way with PlayStation 3 development after the rough launch of Bayonetta. The game runs consistently, animations look fluid and convey the brutal action well, and the characters are outlandish and colourful, which creates a bit of a stylistic clash next to the gritty, dark environments that feel more like something from Gears of War. The sound is more of a standout, as while the voice work is pretty decent and the writing is silly while mostly avoiding cringe-inducing moments, the music is absolutely excellent. Blending hip-hop, rock and other elements into a juicy whole, it pumps up the action nicely and is incredibly catchy too, complemented by brutal and vicious sound effects. While it's not Platinum's best effort, Anarchy Reigns is still an over-the-top spectacle that anyone familiar with the studio's work should enjoy. The brawling isn't the deepest, the campaign isn't the best, and the story won't win any awards for subtlety. But when you're blasting goons with Jack's double chainsaw, watching him verbally spar with a pimp with self-confidence issues, and battling with a giant sea monster, a lot of these flaws feel less serious in the grand scheme of things. It isn't must-play like Bayonetta or Vanquish, but if you feel the need for the gaming equivalent of smashing together giant toys with reckless abandon, this will do the job.